Welcome to iRise Conversations with Joan. Welcome back to another exciting episode of iRise Conversations with Joan. Today we have an incredible guest with us, Aaron Kentrell, the charismatic host of Beyond Six Figures. He's a trailblazer on a mission to shatter old habits and challenge conventional thinking. With a passion for fashion and entertainment, he made the bold move, I might say, to Los Angeles in pursuit of his dreams. Through a journey of trial, error, and prayer, he realized his calling to build a talk show that inspires and empowers others. Drawing from profound spiritual experiences, Aaron has cultivated routines that keep him focused, optimistic, and driven. His infectious energy, which you will see, and determination make him a true force to be reckoned with in the game of life. Welcome, Aaron, to the show.
Thank you so much for the intro, and I'm glad to be here. I am glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, good to have you. Okay, so I like it when people make bold statements like, I want to break the mold and challenge the status quo. What inspired you to take on this mission, and how are you going ahead with achieving it?
Great question. So I think this came about just from the me overcoming a lot of different challenges within my life. So like before this, I was telling you that I'm from the South. So being from the South, I was raised single parent home, had a situation with my father as well. So he wasn't really in my life. And just my attitude helped me overcome that situation in particular. And I also had a overcoming part in my life where I was like overweight. So childhood obesity, eating way too good.
Sounds like me.
Right? So especially in the South, it's common, and it's also one of those things that is not necessarily looked down upon, but it's also, it's not healthy. You also have other people who are surrounded with, that had these bad eating habits. But I realized that when I was ready to change, I actually put the things into place to get myself over it. So since I overcame, my overweight or my obesity, I knew for a fact that I can change my mind, I can change my habits, and since then I just been kind of diving deeper into all the speakers, Les Browns to the Tony Robbinsons to the Abraham Hicks, and it just kept reaffirming that type of philosophy that if you want to do something, you can, and there's nothing that you can't do. You just got to continue to switch the mind and apply new thinking.
Absolutely. I love it. And in this journey that you've been on, you made the bold move to LA. Like,
Yeah.
that is not an easy fit. You followed your dreams, you pursued your love for fashion and entertainment, and you went on this journey. A lot of people are not able to, but I'm sure it wasn't easy. So what were some of the challenges that you faced making this move?
So LA is not my first move. It was actually New York.
Okay.
So New York was my first move out the city. The thing is, I was always a wanderer. I was always a traveler. And that's even shown even in my younger ages. I've had this moment in my life where I was trying to define where, a little bit of my history. You know how people know you before you knew yourself, right? I've even asked my uncle before, and my uncle told me this story about me just traveling around the neighborhood and just finding my way back home type of thing. I got found by a neighbor who's a really close friend, but I was like maybe all of 3 years of age. So that's a little backstory to me, but I always had this urge to want to travel. I always had this urge to want to get out and see things and get out and get beyond what my normal, my confinements were. And I accepted the idea that where I want to go, wherever I go, I'm going to always attract good people. And literally that kept me safe every single time. So one of the biggest challenges that I found to be was cultivating a community around me just being there by myself. I no longer have the security of, my friends or my family back home. I have to rely on my own resourcefulness. I have to rely on my own thought processes to guide me in the right place. So I networked. I bumped into people. I took on, conversations. I joined the things that I was interested in just to build community. And I find that to be one of the toughest things to do when people are out in the world in new places where it's unfamiliar to them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like I've moved a few times in my life too. And for a lot of people, when I say I'm moving, they're like, "Who do you know?" And like, I don't know anybody. What? Because it's scary. And
It
rightfully
is.
so. It's not easy. It's comfortable, it's secure when you have your friends and your family, people that know you, like you said, people who knew you before you knew yourself.
Mhm.
Those people provide a safety net.
They
But
do.
just hearing you, if you're looking to follow your dreams and your passions, you're gonna have to make that bold step sometimes, because sometimes your environment, your current environment, is what is holding you back.
Holding you back, and honestly it puts a bit of blinders in front of you because, like you said, when you get comfortable and you're around people that you've known all your life, and the biggest thing is that if they're not looking to change because they're comfortable, you won't change.
Oh, you're not
So
changing.
that's going to be a direct conflict with who you are as a person. I know people who literally have not left the city, and that's okay for them. And I used to look down on that, but I had to accept the fact that that's okay for them. I know people who haven't left I know people who haven't left their blocks. And when I say block, I mean their neighborhood. And that's okay for them. Literally haven't gone 30 minutes out to the next city, literally haven't gone an hour out to go to the next city, or let alone go to another state. And that is okay for them. And the challenge comes is when you are wanting to do this and you start sharing your ideas and sharing your thoughts about how I'm going to move and going to get out. You have to expect these people to give you a pushback because they themselves maybe even wanted to do it, but just found a way to validate that they couldn't, right? Because we tend to do that. If we think we can't, we're also right. The person who thinks they can and the person who thinks they can't, both are right in their own regards. But the thing is, when you share these ideas, when you start telling people, I'm going to move, I'm going to go out and go beyond these city streets and blah blah blah, they're going to give you pushback, but you'll find a few that's going to push you along. But ultimately you yourself have to decide, yeah, this is what I'm going to do, no matter what they say, no matter who they are, mom, dad, cousin, or uncle. Just know that they come from a place of love. Most of them, some of them, let's just say some of them do come from a place of love, and worry is there sometimes too because they're just unsure. So you have to process that and say, all right, cool, I know that you love me, but I have to do this for myself. And yeah, I mean, it's not the easiest thing to do, but it does get easy after a while.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you moved to LA and you started your own show, inspiring other people and motivating people. Why did you choose that path? Because initially you went there because you were into fashion. So fashion is your passion, but now you have this radio show, which you found to be your purpose, to be able to inspire other people. How did that transition happen?
So I've always been a talkative person. My family said I should have been a lawyer. So I don't know how that combines, but I always ask questions. I was always curious, which hence probably is the reason why I'm a nomad at heart. I was always wanting to see what God has made. I wanted to experience it. And I would say that even within fashion, I asked a lot of questions. I try to find ways to just express myself. And I was always taking shots at YouTube as well. Maybe years ago, early 2014, I started a channel because I wanted to be a creator in that sense, like making fashion content. I just wanted to share. I wanted to get involved. I wanted to speak. This has always been a part of my life. And come 2020, like 2020 and 2021, the pandemic situation, being locked in the house, I was just looking for ways to continue to express myself. I wanted to take full advantage of that time. So I started wondering how the world worked and like things that maybe I missed on my journey as an education journey. Like I bought books that were, I wasn't privy to, and started trying to read about authors and economics and things of that nature. And as this just kept coming, I was receiving all this information I wanted to share. And I had been on podcasts in the past back in my city, back home. And I was like, you know what? Let me just jump on and do it. And it just kept going. And I just committed to the idea that, okay, I am going to commit to whatever it takes to be successful in this space. because at my stage in life, it's like I want the success that I've been envisioning, and I've had some of it, glimpses of it. And it's like, now this is where I want to be. This is where I want to do. Because I remember when I was having transformations in my life, I listened to the Les Browns. I listened to the Jim Rohns. I listened to the Abraham Hickses. I was listening, soaking in, and I said, I want to be that for someone else. I would love to be the person that you go to when you need that type of information, because I am that in my friend groups. My friends call me when they are looking to talk because I'm a great listener. So that means that, if you're a great listener, you can definitely hold a conversation and communicate well. And, there's still gaps that I'm continuing to learn. I'm figuring out different ways, but that's kind of the gist of it. It's like 2020 happened. I wanted to share. I decided, I sat down and I, prayed about it. And I said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to inspire people. This is how I want to leave my mark. And I'm figuring it out, and I'm having some success. I'm having fun on this journey. It's a little stressful sometimes, but it's not easy to grow a business, but you got to do your best.
Absolutely. And so a couple of things that you said that I really, really want to hone in on and really call out so that our listeners can really benefit from the things you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You had a vision of where you wanted to go. You had a vision of how you had imagined your life to be, right? Yeah. And then you took time to soak in the knowledge, to go seek the knowledge and learn and keep it. It's a never-ending journey. You're constantly learning and trying to improve yourself and figure out, okay, what don't I know? What's missing? What do I need to know? Who do I need to listen to? So you're listening to people who have gone ahead of you, who've achieved the things that you want to achieve. So you're gathering all that knowledge, but it doesn't stop there. You took action. A lot of people forever learners, just learning and just waiting for that day. Oh, when I know it all, I'll start. Oh, I don't know enough yet. I'll start when excuses that we keep coming up with.
Always.
You had a clear vision of where you wanted to go. You went and got the knowledge that you required. And then more importantly, you took action.
Yes. And that is the key.
When you pursue your dreams, you have to take action. It is a dream if you do nothing about it.
Oh my gosh.
Die. Right? You're just dreaming. Like, no, take action.
Action. Consistent action. And when I say consistent action, it doesn't have to be, it's not always going to be right. And that's okay. Like, you just commit to the action itself. And honestly, the action itself, the completion of the action is success, right? Like, I know we have an idea of the results that we want, but honestly, if you start reducing that to just the simple completing of the action, you'll have success because you have data now. You'll know if you can on the first try. Some people are just like, some of us, some of you people that are listening to your audience, some of y'all are talented beyond imagination. Like, you're probably, if you go for it the first time, you might get it, and you might not. But within everybody is the ability to take action. And my thing is that let yourself, try not to be so hard on yourself, and I battle with that statement because people tell me don't be hard on myself. But if I'm not hard on myself, who will be? Some moments you will have to be hard on yourself. But in the beginning, when you're trying new things or when you're testing things out and you're taking action, you have to be loving, in a sense. Like, you have to love yourself and know that, okay, this is my first attempt. This is the data that I receive. Not everybody's going to go out there and be Michael Jordan on the court, but with time and with continuous action and holding up the vision, the duration of your faith, you eventually get to where you need to be. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I say take action. You have to, because if you don't, like you said, it's just a dream, and you can't. Your dreams don't always pay bills. So, you gotta, dreams don't pay bills, and they, it changes as you get older. As new information enters, you see this yourself. Maybe it started off as just wanting to have a conversation, and now you're on ready. You're syndicated. You're being backed by a bigger business. Like, your dream is coming to more. It's growing. So it's like it will always grow. But if you never take action, you're going to have anxiety. You might face depression, all because you haven't took the first step or the next steps. Yeah. Action.
Yes, take action.
Yeah.
So in your speech, I started to hear things about faith, spirituality. You're listening to Abraham Hicks, and I want your take on it before I say my own experience, because I also started off from a personal development goal. That was the goal. I wanted to
Mhm.
learn how to be successful, and it led
Yes.
me on the spiritual path. Like I never planned to be on a spiritual journey. So anyway, so what was your experience, and how does faith come into all of this when you're talking about transformation, actualizing your dreams, your desires, all of that stuff?
Huh. Man, it started way further than what I actually knew. So I would tell you that I came upon this when I was 18. However, when I really think about it, my mom has been speaking over my life ever since I was born. So my mom, I remember my mom always saying that you're blessed, that we are blessed, because I have two other brothers that I grew up with. She'll say, you're blessed, you can do this and you can do that. So I believe that I would say probably since I was 2 or 3, right? But as in consciousness and this understanding of what we have now, how we talk about consciousness, it really took place in New York. It was a gentleman who, at the time, I was selling suits to like C-suite individuals. So I would have to call, these guys at these different financial places, Chase Bank and all these. And I'm talking about these are the heads, the CEOs. And this gentleman who was also a fraternity brother of mine set me down one day, and he was like, do you, he was, if you're familiar with Abraham Hicks,
Yeah.
the whole coffee situation, right? That as in, if you want a cup of coffee will kind of come. He broke that down. Come to find out, when I listened to her, she mentioned this as a way of explaining the law of attraction. He introduced that to me. But the funny thing is that, though, is before I went, I had already made a blog post talking about that. I want to go. Already painted out the picture that I wanted to be there. So when he introduced me to Abraham Hicks, it was a reaffirmation. It was like, okay, reaffirming my belief. Because I was like, yo, before I even graduated college, I was like, man, I'm going to live in New York. I made a little, blog post, wrote about it and everything. And lo and behold, a few months later, my first job is in New York. But I got introduced to Abraham Hicks via someone else who was already in that space. And since then, it's just been a constant digging and constant understanding and reaffirming and also reinventing myself. So I'm always going through transformations. We always are. So to answer your question, it started around the age of like 18, 19, but then it got, I guess I got deeper into understanding who was involved around the age of 20 or so, when I was in like maybe 23, 24, when I was in New York. And since then I just been digging, constantly, like relentlessly finding things that like resonate with me. So yeah.
And, like you said, the world has really, really changed
It
from
has.
20, 30 years ago. And
Yeah.
this global consciousness that's happening now. And the more, like, it's a never ending hole. You just dig in, and there's just so much more. You keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
So much.
The way things work is not really how it works.
Yeah. And like the thing is that you're gonna always find something new. The whole thing is kind of anchoring yourself into what you believe, right? Like it's there for you to understand. It's so much is a vast knowledge. Know that you won't know it all, right? You won't know it all, but you're experiencing so much at once. You just pick your piece of the puzzle and you'll get that answer. And someone else will have the piece of the puzzle. You don't have to know it all to experience it. And we have to be careful about, intellect. We want to know it because our ego and our intellect, we want to be able to explain it in an intellectual way, right? Just want to, dazzle people with our explanations and definitions and all this other stuff. But that's honestly more ego than it is understanding, because some of these things I understood naturally. Like I just naturally knew how I wanted to move. And some of these things just came to light. Now I have the words to express what I've been experiencing all my life. Sometimes you're going to experience the spiritual, sometimes you're going to experience it before you know how to explain it. Is all I'm trying to say. So don't get too caught up with not knowing the words to say or how to describe what you've experienced. Eventually that'll come if you hear it, if you could search enough. But sometimes we experience these things and we just think, oh, what was that? But this keeps happening. Like, okay, that's that's manifestation. Okay, clicks now. You start understand. Oh, that's manifestation. Got it. Okay, boom. Oh, that's law of attraction. That explains why I kept seeing that car every time. Golly, like, just don't know. But it just you give head nods and be like, all right, God, thank you. Whoever you believe in, it's like, all right, bet, thank you, universe. All right, cool, cool. And the words to come. So yeah,
Absolutely. And you also mentioned something where you were saying before you moved to New York, you already wrote a blog about it. And I
yeah,
think something that's so powerful, and people don't, well, a lot of people in the world are still living the old way. That's why they're suffering. But these are simple things that people can do. There's many, many
yes,
techniques for things like
yes,
this. But that's a very simple one because everyone can sit down and kind of visualize what kind of life they want to be. If money wasn't an issue
yes,
or distance wasn't an issue, where would you want to be? What would they look like? What would you be doing? And just
yes,
write that down in as much detail as possible. And
as
then
much.
you just wrote it and that's it. You forgot about it. And boom, your first job, you're in New York.
Yes,
People keep thinking, oh, is this mystical? No. It's pretty simple. Just
it
have
is.
or they'll be like, no, you don't know my story. You don't know where I've been. You don't know how broke I am. Yeah.
So
Details.
to that point, people will find a way to validate their suffering. And I wanted to talk about it because you mentioned suffering. Usually it's suffering because they know within themselves that they can do it, but they just need validation of why they can't. So now they're suffering, or they watch everybody else do it and they themselves just keep telling themselves that they can't.
Yeah.
We see, like, nobody's telling you that you won't go through something. You will. Pain is always involved. Flat out, period. Right? It's no way to get around it. You're going to experience some type of pain, even some type of cognitive dissonance, or just physical pain. You are going to experience something's going to affect you. So get over that. Like, it's always going to be something new. And we're not saying that these things aren't important. They are. We do these things because they are important. They help you, they help your experience. Money is important because it helps your experience. Food is important because it's a part of your experience. Like, and when I talk about experience, I'm talking about life. Yeah. This is a part of it. This is how we set up the society, whatever it may be. But my thing is that if you continue to look for the reasons why you can't, you're going to continue to find them. Absolutely. But if you decide, if you say, all right, bet, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to lose the weight, I'm going to move, just make the first step. And that could be simply looking up and find out the prices, look for the job, whatever it may be. You can make it happen if it truly is something that you desire to have. And you got to do more than just desire. At some point, you have to say, it's mine. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. And you have to be willing to go through the journey. And journey is going to be painful at the beginning, but it'll feel easy at some point. I'm not going to say it's always going to be easy, but it's going to feel easy. Or the tough action that you took at first once was tough, but now it's easier, right? So yeah. You got to hold on to that vision. You got to hold on to that faith. And usually every man is rewarded to his measure of faith. And honestly, if you only have a little bit of faith, you're just gonna, and I don't mean like, because mustard seed is the absolute. It's not necessarily the measure of faith. It's the absolute. All you need is a mustard seed of faith. But I heard this great quote a few days ago. It's also talking about the duration of faith. And this was to the guy that when I heard this, he brought up Peter walking on the water, right? For those who are in the Bible, like this guy walking on the water, and God, Jesus said to he so little faith, but it's not talking about necessarily you have small faith. It's talking about the duration of faith. So though it may start with your energy high, say I'm going to move, or I'm going to lose the weight, you have to hold that little seed. You have to hold that the whole time. Yeah. Right. You gotta be able to stretch out your faith. You gotta be able to sit down and remind yourself every day. And this is also going to autosuggestion, which is one of my favorite topics, because autosuggestion is one of the most concentrated or highest forms of like expressing faith. Because what you tell yourself every single day, how you talk to yourself, is how you show up usually. Absolutely. So that helps with the duration of faith, and you got to be able to, stretch that guy out.
Absolutely. And, as you were speaking, I just remembered, people will say, oh, this law of attraction thing doesn't work. And just to buttress the point that you made, when you have a thought or desire and you say, I'm going to move, I'm going to lose weight. At that point, like you said, your vibration is high, you're feeling it, you're like, yes, I've lost the weight, I look great. And then 5 minutes later, and for the next 5 years, oh, I know I can never lose. Oh, I have a thyroid issue. Oh, you don't know my family. We're all fat in my family. Oh, this. Then that's what you're going to get. So then you're going to turn around and say, law of attraction doesn't work. No, it's you get what you think about most of the time. Whatever you think most,
yep,
you're going to get.
Yes. And my thing is, look, if you don't think law of attraction works, just give it a new title. Like, you don't have to keep calling law of attraction. Call it whatever you may. Like, 1 + 1 still equals 2. And my thing is that if you yourself don't feel like you can do it, look for someone who has a very similar backstory like yours. And if they're in a better situation, then that means that you can be in a better situation. And this is why it's important for every person to try to be successful in their life, because you don't know who's watching. Because if you succeed, the people that are closest to you can never say that they can't. Like I mentioned to you that I have a longtime friend, and down south we call longtime friends brothers and sisters and cousins and stuff like that. So I call her my sister at this point. But me being one of the first people to move outside of my, within my friend group, I've literally had my friends on multiple accounts say, because you did it,
yes,
I did it too. And that's my thing. If you yourself look within yourself to become successful in whatever, in whatever form, you become the manager of the retail space, or you become the CEO or whatever. Those who are closest to you, and especially who have witnessed your transformation, they can know you remove all doubt that it's possible. Now you put a responsibility on them. Now it can do two things. It can push those people away because they're going to find ways to, talk about you. You changed and this, that, and the third, instead of looking within themselves and realizing that, oh no, you just validated that I can do this thing, right? Or you're going to inspire them to wipe away all excuses and figure it out. So be successful. And when I say successful, just be the best versions of yourself in all aspects, because you don't know who's watching. You don't know who's a part of your journey, unknowingly. They're watching, they're journaling, they're documenting. They're like, oh, okay, I see him. Every time I see him, he's different, or she's different, or they're different, whatever it may be. So yeah.
I like that, because that's a very selfless way to look at life, where it's not just self about me. I'm only doing this for me, but just be an inspiration to other people. When you feel that responsibility that people are watching me, maybe I'm the reason that somebody gets out of bed this morning. That's motivation to get out of bed, for you to go after your own, to be the best. To be
the best that you can be, but be a little selfish, because you're gonna have to be. You're gonna have to be a little selfish. You're gonna have to be a little selfish so you can be selfless, right? So it's ebbs and flows. I'm not telling you to be selfish in all your actions, but the action that directly affects you, and only you can define what that is, it's going to help you be selfless in the future. Like if Jordan didn't spend hours, if Kobe didn't spend hours, I'm only saying these names because these are notable people. So put whoever name is there. If they didn't spend hours working on their craft, looking to be the best that they wanted to be, they would not be able to help as many people as they've been able to help, and inspire a whole generation of people to do things that they never thought they could do. So yeah, be a little selfish, to be selfless later on in life, and define whatever success means to you. But definitely, when you get there, show it off, enjoy it, have fun with it, because you're going to inspire people. It's inevitable.
Absolutely. So I want to touch on people who say they have no passion, who are feeling rather very stuck in life. They're like, it's just wake up, go to work, eat, come back home, sleep, repeat. And they're feeling very unfulfilled. They probably hate their jobs. Like 97% of people hate their jobs anyway. and don't really know how to get out of this. They want to experience some of the things that we're talking about. They want to follow their dreams. They want to follow their passion. They want to move them. But they're like, what do you like doing? Nothing really. Where do you see yourself? I don't see myself. What is a starting point for people to start to have a dream, to be able to have a better vision, have a futuristic version or vision of how they want their life to be? Because right now, like you and I were discussing before, there's many people who've never left the street where they grew up. That's all they know. They've had the same friends from day one. So they just don't know. And they're like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I want a different life. I just don't know what to do. So what can they do, Aaron?
Oh, good question. So, if you don't have a passion, it's okay. If you don't necessarily have a dream, it's okay. And I know that may sound contradictory to what I talk about. The thing is that if you know you want better, that's a start. And I just want you to get out of the habit of just trying to label everything. I'm passionate or I'm a dreamer or whatever. If you don't identify with those things, good, great, whatever. But if you know you want something to be different, that's a start, because now you have an inkling of desire to do something different than where you were. So, a lot of things you start to understand, as in like it's not going to happen tomorrow, but you must start today. I would say that when you take that action, when you start taking that action, I have to say this all the time, is just expect pain, period, because it's something that you're not used to doing. But if you know that you want to change, figure out a way to get like the vision on paper. Because if you know that you want to change, either you've recently had an experience that gave you a glimpse of, oh, my life could be like this. It really can. You're going to have to write that down, remind yourself how you felt, because the days after that are going to be tough. Because you may work the 9 to 5 and you've built your life around this, you built your family around this, whatever you've done, you've built things on top of this. You are responsible now, but you want something different. Well, if you want something different, that means that you know of something, right? You literally know of something, like you've experienced something, you've seen it, and something inside of you saying, that's how I want to do it. Well, understand that it would never be exactly how you saw it. You can only, I want to say it like this. Okay. You see Jordan. You would never be Jordan. Yeah. But you can be you. So if I was LeBron, if I was Kobe, I know that I can never physically be Jordan, but I can be me. So take that how you may, just replace the names and replace yourself. You saw the house. You may want to feel like that, or you may want that feeling, but you may not get that exact house. Yeah. So I've learned that a few things. Start with the feeling, because the feeling supersedes it all. How you feel, and your feeling tends to attract the things that you want. Start residing in the feeling. Like, okay, write it down, but this is how I want to feel. I want to feel luxurious. I want to feel lighter. I want to feel healthier, right? But know that the house that you saw or the body that you seen, you may never have that. I'm not saying that you can't. That could be a goal. It's a physical representation of the feeling. So start with the feeling, because that's what got you desiring these things already. Like, remove the labels, remove all of that. How do you feel when you saw? How did you feel when you saw that house? How did you feel when you saw Jordan play? Because how you feel usually is what you tend to attract. Because remember, even when people even tell you, is how you make a person feel is how they're going to remember you. It's like, it's the feeling, it's the moment, it's all those things. So start with the feeling, and then start taking action. Take action on those feelings, because you're going to need that every single day to remind yourself of who you are. I tell people, then you want to go start, you want to get into this abandonment phase. You want to start dropping off and getting rid of all the things that your old self is used to, right? So if it's people, this is hard. You're going to have to start separating yourself. If it's music, You can start listening to a whole new playlist. You can listen to the same playlist over and over. You can stop listening to music altogether. I've had moments like this where it was just all audiobook or it was all motivational talk. And that's what I call saturation. I call it abandonment because you're putting a gap further between who you once were and you're closing the gap to who you want to be. And you just got to saturate your mind and saturate yourself. And then you start changing your environment. So you want to start with the feeling, right? Mm-hmm. Start with the feeling, then start taking action. That action can look a lot, it can look like a lot of things. Tongue twister. It can look like a lot of things, but you want to start saturating your mind, start reading the books, start eating the foods, and then be patient. Have confidence, but be patient that eventually you'll start seeing inklings and you'll start seeing representation, physical representations of all the decisions you've made come into reality. So start with the feeling, though. To answer your question, start with the feeling. Yeah.
The feeling is where the magic happens.
It's where the magic happens.
You can think what you want. If you can't connect with that feeling, then you're not going to have it. And yes, again, a lot of us were trained to think about the negative feeling, the one that of it not happening. But what you're saying is, yes, you want a big house, but how would you feel when you have a big house? Yes, you want $1 million job, but how would you feel when you have $1 million job? Yes, you want a relationship with your dreams. Focus on, rather than say, oh, the dating apps are shit, nobody's there, everybody's a player. How about you just focus on how you want to feel when you're in a great relationship? Focus on the feeling.
Focus on the feeling, period, because these are physical representations. That's all. And these things will shift and change. Like, my thing is that you could be limiting yourself when you're talking about the house. Mm-hmm. You've seen a mansion, but for you, it may be a castle. It may be a chateau. My thing is, it's the feeling, because the feeling doesn't cost anything except your ego. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can't afford to take the trip just yet, but you can afford to sit down, envision, and bring about the feeling. It's like, because to get there, you don't know what it requires yet. You don't know what it requires yet. It's going to require a lot of change in order to get the money or to have the status that you've seen someone else experience. But what you can do that doesn't cost you nothing but your ego and some time is find a way to cultivate the feeling of success, to cultivate the feeling of being on that vacation, or cultivate the feeling of being in that house and how you feel. And then you can start acting like it, and you can start talking like it. Just give yourself 30 minutes a day, just like you would do a book, and just sit in that feeling. How would you show up? Because, like they say, money only exposes who we truly are. And even the lack of money will show who you truly are. And my thing is that what you do with the money that you have is who you truly are. And how you feel, right now is who you are. But you can change your feeling. You can switch how you feel about things. You can continue to cultivate a better feeling, a better attitude about the things that you want in life, because that requires nothing. The principles that it takes requires nothing but some ego, but your ego and some time and some practice. It's like it costs you nothing, because it's going to require you to change your perception of life in order to have those things. Because if you had those things right now, you wouldn't be having this desire to have it. So it's like, the feeling, and that includes your principles and values. You focus on those things because they don't cost you money. They don't. They cost you, some integrity. Like, when I say integrity, you got to be honest with yourself. Yes. I feel like this, but I want this. What principles do it take? What should I value? If you want more money, you're going to have to value the adding value to the market. You're going to have to value in some form capitalism. I'm not going to say that you have to be the biggest capitalist, but that the simple formation or the simple math of it all is that you have to add value in order to receive it. So that has to be valuable to you. That has to be important to you, and you have to cultivate the principles that's going to keep you in that mindset. And principles are also your non-negotiables, things that you will no longer budge on. If it's for you to lose weight, right, then you have to value good health. Period. You can start feeling how you want to feel or how you plan to feel when you have the body that you want, right? What would you do if you were already the person that you wanted to be? What would you do if you already had the body that you wanted to have? Not saying that if you 300 plus and you want to go wear a two-piece, that's up on you, but you got to deal with the you got to deal that comes with that. But what I'm saying is that you yourself, if you feel like that'll make you feel more beautiful, sit in the house and embrace the feeling of being beautiful. And my thing is that it costs you nothing. It literally costs you nothing but a little bit of your ego and some time. And you find the principles, you find the things that you must value, and you have non-negotiables. You don't budge, and you try to assert yourself in those ways as often as possible. People will not like it, especially those who knew you, especially those who you shared these bad habits with. And believe me, there's a guy by the name of Myron Golden, and I'm going to misquote him, but simply what he's trying to say, what he says is that once you just make a decision, the challenge comes. He says is way he verbalizes it way better than I do. But that's the simple thing of it. Once you make a decision, know that tomorrow you say you're gonna lose weight, you say you're gonna stop eating a certain thing. I guarantee you, if not tomorrow, next day, somebody will offer you a free meal. And you never, I'm telling you, this is like almost every time. Like this person never offered you anything. They for some reason your job is now having a pizza day or whatever it may be. Like they never did this. But yesterday I decided that I'm not gonna eat, I'm not gonna eat the junk food. I'm not gonna drink. They telling you to come out. It's your opportunity to lean on the things that you just said and to decide and assert yourself and say, nah, I'm not going to do it. Then, at the beginning, it's going to sound weird because you're going to try to make up all the excuses or whatever it may be. Just tell them you're fasting or whatever it may be. You don't have to fully go into detail, but because no is a complete sentence, but it's hard to say no sometimes, especially to those who know you. They're going to try to push you to do it. It's not out of ill that they're doing it. It's because they know who you are or they knew who you once were, but they don't know who you're about to be. You yourself have to know that. You yourself have to dig into it and hold that vision. Say no, keep going, but stumble through it as often as you need to until you find the courage to say no and keep it going. So
love it.
Mouthful.
So many nuggets. Oh my God. Okay, I hope everyone was taking notes. I think we've kind of just walked through everything.
We might be.
Have a successful life. But I love everything that you've said. I think if people are just able to be honest with themselves, sit down and apply all the principles that you've shared with us today.
Yes.
No excuses. There'll be no reason why they cannot be successful in whatever area, whatever success means to them in their lives. Take the steps, follow through, have a vision, focus on what it is that you want, feel the feeling. You have to connect with the feeling. Hold it for as long as you can. Don't just have it once and then spend the other 99% telling yourself why you don't have it, because it's not going to work.
Yes.
So I really want to encourage everybody today, go back and listen to this if you need to, but you have everything that you need to be able to have an amazing, successful life. So thank you.
Yes.
So much wisdom. So much wisdom. So what final parting words are you going to leave us with today?
Man, first off, again, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to your listeners. Anytime I get the opportunity to spread this message, I am living out my dream right now. So, I'll keep it simple because I feel like we touched on a lot of things that I talk about, but simply put, if you want to go and do it, you can. You do have the resources, you do. And I would tell you just to continue to reinforce your self-talk, identify the things that you want in life and go after it. It's simple as that, but it's not easy. Nothing's going to be easy in this life. And I don't think it was ever promised to us that it's going to be easy. So do the work and be kind to yourself, love yourself, but be hard on yourself when it's time, and understand it's not always going to be that way. But ultimately, love yourself, because if you love yourself, if you show yourself love, even through your most trying times, you'll come out greater at the end, because you make sure that you don't hurt as many people as you could if you just hated yourself, and you also refrain from hurting yourself more than what it's gonna, the natural transition will cause. So be kind, and love yourself, but do the work, and go out there and achieve, you know?
Go out there and achieve. I think that's
Yeah.
a great to end the show. Thank you so much, Aaron, for being here with us.
No problem.
My amazing listeners, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed today's episode. Mind blowing. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'll see
Yes.
you next week on iRise Conversations with Joan. Thanks for listening.